I'm a genius after the car accident. My wife lost her memory, but she only forgot me. As a professional novelist, this didn't faze me in the slightest. In my books, I've milked this plot device dry. The obvious move? Drag the wife to the courthouse and get a divorce immediately. Of course, reality always has a bit of a lag compared to fiction. We got divorced in the morning, and by that evening, she had regained her memory, dragged me out from a pile of beautiful women, and screamed with a furrowed brow. I lose my memory for half a day, and you've already finalized the divorce papers? Was 18 different positions a night not enough to satisfy you? Huh. But let's rewind. When I first got the call, I was in the middle of designing a cheat code for the protagonist of my new book. Should I go with an emotional harvesting system or a cashback spending system? The voice on the other end of the line was the nurse. She sounded urgent but professional. Is this Mr. Lucas Daines, family of Jenna Nielsen? Your wife has been involved in a minor traffic accident. She's at General Hospital. Please come as soon as possible. My brain buzzed, and I nearly crushed the mechanical keyboard in my hand. How is she? Is it serious? My voice was shaking uncontrollably. Don't panic, sir. The patient is not in life-threatening danger. She suffered a head injury, but we need you here to discuss the specifics. I hung up, didn't even grab a jacket, snatched my car keys, and sprinted out. Driving like a maniac, countless gruesome scenes flashed through my mind, each one making my heart seize. Jenna, my wife. We'd been together since college, 7 years. She was my first love and the only name listed next to mine on the lease. If anything happened to her, I couldn't bear to think about it. When I arrived at the hospital, the heavy scent of antiseptic hit me. I got the room number from the nurse's station and rushed to the door, only to be blocked by a doctor. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s, Dr. Weber. His expression was a bit peculiar. Mr. Daines, calm down first. The patient has multiple soft tissue contusions, but her life is not in danger. It's just... He paused, seemingly weighing his words. Just what? Doctor, please just say it. I was anxious like a cat on a hot tin roof. Dr. Weber adjusted his glasses and sighed. It's just that due to the concussion, the patient is experiencing some memory obstruction. Simply put, she has amnesia. Amnesia? I froze. Me, a top-tier web novelist who had been immersed in the industry for a decade. I've written the amnesia trope at least 80 times, if not 100. Car crash amnesia, cliff-jumping amnesia, struck by lightning amnesia. I knew the script inside out. Selective amnesia, Dr. Weber added. She remembers her name, her parents, her job, and she even remembers that cat of yours, Biscuit. But he looked at me with sympathy. She has only forgotten you. I walked into the ward. Jenna was wearing a blue and white striped hospital gown, a piece of gauze taped to her forehead, her face slightly pale. She was taking small sips of warm water the nurse had given her. When she saw me enter, her eyes were filled with a pure, polite, and absolutely damning sense of unfamiliarity. Hello, may I ask who you are? She spoke. Her voice was as beautiful as ever, but her tone was like she was asking a stranger for directions. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. I opened my mouth to say, I'm your husband, but the words stalled on my lips. A bold, genius idea, one worthy of going down in my personal literary history, struck my brain like a bolt of lightning. Opportunity. This was a godsend. We had been in a Cold War recently because I was too busy hitting deadlines and forgot her birthday. She hadn't for a week. Now, she had him and had only forgotten me. Wasn't this the standard prelude to a groveling romance arc? The golden opening for a second chance trope? According to the formulas in my books, I should cling to her, pester her, and make her fall in love with me again through a series of accidental encounters and deep, soulful protection. But that was too cliché. As a top-tier author, how could I follow the beaten path? I needed to play high-level games, playing hard to get, putting oneself in a position of death to fight for life. A perfect plan formed rapidly in my mind. I looked at Jenna and forced a smile that was uglier than crying, filled with the weariness of the world. My voice was hoarse as I said, I am your ex-husband. Jenna's hand shook, and water splashed from her cup. The nurse next to her widened her eyes, wearing a look that said, I just heard some major Excellent. That was the effect I wanted. Our relationship broke down. We were already preparing for a divorce. I continued to ad-lib, my eyes reddening at just the right moment. Since you don't remember me anymore, that's actually good. We can part on good terms. Take care of yourself in the future. After speaking, I turned and walked away, my back resolute like a tragic hero betrayed by the whole world. The moment I stepped out of the ward, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. I really was a genius. When she regains her memory and realizes that not only did I not pester her, but I considerately set her free, she will definitely feel guilty. She'll be moved, and she'll have no choice but to come back to my arms obediently. I had even already thought of the title for my new book. Wife gets amnesia. I divorce her, she regains memory that night and comes for blood. After amnesia, my ex-husband ignored me. Absolutely viral material. Lightspeed divorce. I immediately contacted my lawyer friend, Mike, and used a bit of financial leverage to expedite the process. By the next morning, I showed up at Jenna's hospital room again with a full set of documents and a face that said, "My heart is already dead." She seemed to be recovering well and could already walk around. Seeing me, her expression was complex, confusion, inquiry, and a trace of vigilance. Yep, just sign it. I slid the settlement agreement in front of her, my voice as cold as ice. I didn't even look her in the eye, staring instead at the sycamore tree outside the window that had shed all its leaves, as if my lost love was hanging there. Jenna picked up the agreement and read it page by page, extremely seriously. I felt a little nervous. This woman was shrewd, even with amnesia. I had the lawyer draft the agreement to be incredibly fair. The house, the car, the savings, everything split 50-50. I even magnanimously gave her the penthouse with the roof garden she loved. What is this called? This is called nuance. The image of a man who had been heartbroken but still retained his last shred of dignity was established instantly. Why the rush? She finally spoke, her brow slightly furrowed. Here it comes. She's getting curious. I rejoiced inwardly, but let out a self-deprecating laugh on the surface. Better a short pain than a long one. Since there's no love left, what's the point of dragging it out? I really don't love you anymore. When she asked this, there was a confusion in her eyes that was hard to detect. It's better that you forgot. I turned my head, looking up at a 45-degree angle at the ceiling to keep the tears from falling. Forget the arguments, forget the unhappiness, forget me. The performance was so good, I almost believed it myself. Jenna was silent for a long time, so long that I thought she was going to back out. Finally, she picked up the pen and signed her name at the bottom. Her handwriting was as elegant and forceful as ever. After signing, she pushed the agreement back to me and whispered, "Thank you," and saw the... No need to apologize. I picked up the papers and stood up. I wish you. Find new happiness. Walking out of the ward, I let out a long sigh of relief. Nailed it. Plan successful. Next came the classic trope where I wait for her to regain her memory and then come crying and begging me to remarry her. Walking out of the courthouse later, clutching the divorce decree, my heart felt a little empty. But as soon as I thought of my genius plan, that emptiness was quickly replaced by the joy of impending success. To celebrate the complete success of step one, and to make my image as a pitiful abandoned man even more realistic, I called up my group of degenerate friends. Location: the city's wildest karaoke lounge. Theme: saying goodbye to the past, welcoming a new life. Inside the private room, lights flashed, alcohol flowed, and people howled into microphones. My childhood friend Zach shoved dice into my hand while winking. "Luke, you really divorced? Nice one. You're a confirmed bachelor again. Come on. We're not going home until we're drunk." Another friend, Leo, was even more direct. He had summoned a flock of young, beautiful women from somewhere, and they were crowding around me. "Great author Luke, what does heartbreak feel like? Tell us about it." A girl with exquisite makeup leaned in, her perfume a bit overpowering. I frowned, subconsciously wanting to dodge. But then I thought, no. My current persona is heartbroken, drowning sorrows in alcohol, playing the field. I have to stay in character. So I raised my glass and forced a bitter smile. Doesn't feel like much. Just feels like my heart is empty. "Oh, well, we can help you fill it." The girls laughed together, leaning on me one by one. I was stiff all over, sitting on pins and needles. Zach, the tactless idiot, was still jeering from the side. Right. Out with the old, in with the new. Our Luke has such great qualifications. He can get anyone. Tonight, all expenses are on Mr. Donis. My brain short-circuited, and to maintain the persona, I waved my hand grandly. "It's on me. Anyway, I have the cashback system." Wait, no. Anyway, I'm not short on money. I was surrounded by beauties in the center of the couch, holding a microphone while a gut-wrenching heartbreak ballad played on the screen. Before I could even summon the right emotions, the door to the private room was kicked open from the outside with a loud bang. The massive noise scared everyone, and the music cut out. Standing in the doorway was a figure radiating murderous energy. It was Jenna. She had changed out of her hospital gown and was wearing a black trench coat, her long hair tied back, looking sharp and fierce. Her face was still a bit pale, but her eyes were like two quenched steel blades, nailed dead onto me, and onto the flock of peacocks surrounding me. The entire private room went instantly silent. You could hear a pin drop. My brain crashed. This wasn't in the script. How is she here? Shouldn't she be lying in the hospital, full of guilt and curiosity about her ex-husband? How'd she find this place? And that expression didn't look like she was here to beg for reconciliation. It looked more like she was here to catch a cheater. The girl next to me was frightened and asked timidly, "Who is this lady?" Before I could answer, Jenna let out a cold laugh and walked toward me, step by step. Her high heels clicked on the floor, each sound stomping on my heart. She walked up to me, looked down from above, swept her gaze over the women around me, and finally returned to my face. She reached out, not to slap me, but to snatch the divorce paperwork that still carried my born from my hand. She flipped it open for a glance, then snapped it shut with a PA and held it in front of my eyes. "Lucas Daines," she spoke, her voice not loud, but carrying the chill of ice shards. "I'll lose my memory for half a day, and you've already finalized the divorce papers?" She paused, the corner of her mouth hooking up into an extremely dangerous arc, and pointed at the beauties around me. "Not bad. High efficiency. What? Was 18 different positions a night not enough to satisfy you?" "Huh." That last "huh" was practically a roar. In that moment, I clearly heard the sound of my worldview collapsing. She recovered her memory. When? How could it be this fast? In novels, don't they have to go through 81 trials, experience various misunderstandings, and deal with the interference of secondary male and female leads before regaining their memory? Half a day? What the hell is half a day? Living hell, I was hauled out of the karaoke bar by Jenna like a chicken that had made a mistake. Zach and the others wanted to intervene, but Jenna glared them back with a look that said, "Try it and die." The group of girls was so scared they didn't dare breathe, huddled in the corner watching me walk toward the execution ground. The night wind was cold against my face, but I couldn't feel it. My mind was in chaos, the words "she regained her memory" looping infinitely. It was over. I was cooked. This wasn't a groveling romance anymore. This was going straight to the incinerator, ashes scattered to the wind. Jenna didn't say a word and shoved me in her car. It was her prized red coupe. There was a noticeable scratch on the side of the bumper, a remnant of the accident. Seeing that scratch, I felt a pang of pain and guilt in my heart. "Jen, listen to me explain." "Shut up." She spat out 2 cold words and started the engine. The ride was silent. The air pressure in the car was terrifyingly low. I breathed with extreme caution. "I stole glances her." Her profile was tense, her jawline pulled into a sharp curve. I knew she was furious. When we got home, she used my fingerprint to unlock the door. Click! The door opened, and it felt like a switch had been flipped. She pushed me inside, then slammed the door shut with a bang and locked it. She took off her trench coat and tossed it onto the sofa, revealing a fitted wool sweater underneath. Then, she crossed her arms, leaned against the wall of the entryway, and looked at me coldly. "Talk, great author Luke," she began sarcastically. "I'll give you a chance. Explain this genius operation of yours." My throat was dry. I thought you had amnesia. I wanted to play out one of your novel tropes? Broken mirror reunited? Playing hard to get. She finished my sentence for me. I nodded with difficulty. She laughed. She actually laughed, but it was filled with cold fury. "Luke, have you written so many novels that you've gone stupid? Do you really think real life is a script you wrote, and everyone has to follow your settings?" "I didn't mean it like that." "Then what do you mean?" She pressed closer step by step. "This morning at the hospital, that look on your face like your wife had died. Great acting. Wish you find new happiness? And by the afternoon, you're celebrating your bachelorhood with a crowd of beauties? You found that happiness pretty quickly, didn't you?" That was my friends teasing. Nothing happened between me and them. I argued desperately. "Oh, is that so?" She pulled my phone out of her pocket. I didn't even know when she took it. She unlocked the screen, opened our text messages, and shoved the screen in my face. It was a message Leo had just sent. "Luke, you're a legend. Divorced and already drowning in girls. I posted the photos to my story, making you look good." Below was a picture, me sitting in the middle, arms around 2 girls, smiling like a moron. My vision went black. "Leo, I'm going to kill you." And this. Jenna swiped again. It was an author group chat. I had posted a message in the group. "Boys, I'm divorced. I'm free. Drinks on me tonight. Let's get wild." Followed by a string of "Congrats, Luke. Luke is a boss" flattery. I was completely stunned. I had forgotten that, to maintain the persona, I had bragged in the group chat. Luke, Jenna put away the phone. Her voice had calmed down, but this calm scared me more than her rage. We've been together 7 years. I thought you knew me. I thought even if I really had amnesia, the first thing you would do is find a way to make me remember you, not push me away. I thought you were my husband, not my reader. Her eyes reddened, and her voice caught in her throat. Turns out, in your eyes, I'm just a female lead of your next script. You just wanted to see if playing out a trashy cliché in reality would feel satisfying. No, Jen, it's not like that. I panicked and rushed forward to hug her. She took a step back, dodging me. That movement was like a knife plunging into my heart. Don't touch me. She looked at me, disappointment and sadness practically overflowing from her eyes. I feel dirty. That night, I was kicked out of the master bedroom. I stood at the door of the guest room, holding a pillow and blanket like a stray dog. The master bedroom door slammed shut in front of me and locked. I was done, completely done. I sat on the sofa in the living room, awake all night. Jenna's words replayed in my mind. I thought you were my husband, not my reader. Turns out, in your eyes, I'm just a female lead of your next script. Was I wrong? I was wrong. Horribly wrong. I treated our 7-year relationship like a play I directed and acted in myself. I arrogantly thought I could control everything, forgetting that feelings aren't a script and human hearts aren't settings. I hurt her in the stupidest, most selfish way possible. Early the next morning, sporting dark circles under my eyes, I prepared to make her breakfast as a humble apology. But I found someone already in the kitchen. Jenna was wearing an apron, frying eggs. The sunlight streamed in through the window, gilding her edges. It was a picture of domestic tranquility. My heart lifted. If she was willing to cook, did that mean her anger had subsided halfway? I leaned in, smiling ingratiatingly. Honey, let me do it. She ignored me, plating the 2 sunny-side-up eggs she had fried. Then, holding the plate, she walked right past me without saying a word. I followed her to the dining room. She placed the plate on the table, pulled out a chair, sat down, picked up a knife and fork, and began to elegantly cut the eggs. She didn't look at me once the entire time. I froze. 2 eggs, and she was eating them alone? Where was mine? Yen, mi breakfast? I asked quietly. She finally looked up at me, her eyes flat and ripple-less. Oh, she said, there's bread in the fridge, get it yourself. Or, you can go out to eat. She paused, then added, after all, we are neighbors now, not husband and wife. I have no obligation to cook for you, Mr. Daines. The words, Mr. Daines, felt like 3 steel needles stabbing into my chest. I watched her slowly finish her breakfast, clean up the dishes, wash them, and put them back in place. Then, she grabbed her bag, changed her shoes, and got ready to leave. From start to finish, she treated me like air. Where are you going? I blocked the door. Work. I'll drive you. No need. She stepped around me, reaching for the door handle. I have my own car. Jen. I grab her wrist. Let's talk. There's nothing to talk about. Luke, until you learn how to be a person instead of an author, we have nothing to say to each other. The door opened, then closed. I was left alone in the room with nothing but the cold silence. I looked at the empty dining room and the plate that belonged only to her, and an unprecedented panic seized me. In novels, the heroine throws a tantrum. The hero coaxes her, buys a bag, says some sweet nothings, and they make up quickly. But in reality, she wasn't even willing to talk to me. My tropes were worthless in the face of genuine disappointment. This groveling romance seemed to have only just begun. The disconnect between theory and practice, I couldn't just sit and wait for death. As a professional plot designer, I knew that breaking a deadlock required a strong external stimulus. So, I initiated my 36 stratagems of chasing the wife. Stratagem 1. The injury ruse. Hero saves beauty. I heard Jenna's company was negotiating a contract with a very difficult client. I immediately used my connections to look up the client's info. The guy's name was Mr. Henderson, a notorious sleazebag. Opportunity knocks. According to the script, I should swoop in right when she's being harassed by Henderson, like a god descending from the heavens, save the damsel, and conveniently close the deal, making her look at me with new eyes. I calculated the timing and waited outside the private room of the restaurant they had booked. I had already mentally rehearsed it countless times. I'd kick the door open, grab Henderson's greasy hand, and say coldly, let her go, then deliver a combo of punches, leaving him scrambling on the floor, looking for his teeth. Jenna would be shocked, moved, and would throw herself back into my warm embrace. Perfect. I pressed my ear to the door, listening to the commotion inside. Manager Nielsen, come on, have a drink. Drink this, and the contract is easy to talk about. Mr. Henderson, I'm sorry. I'm allergic to alcohol. Oh, who cares about allergies? I'm here. Here it comes. It's happening. I took a deep breath, clenched my fist, and prepared to kick the door. Just then, I heard a loud crash from inside, followed by Henderson squealing like a slaughtered pig. I froze. What was happening? I hurriedly pushed the door open a crack to peek inside. I saw Jenna with one foot propped up on a chair, holding a freshly smashed wine bottle. The sharp glass shards of the bottleneck were pointed straight at Henderson's throat. Henderson was clutching his bleeding forehead, his face pale with terror. Jenna didn't have much of an expression, but her eyes were colder than the broken bottle in her hand. Mr. Henderson, she said slowly and methodically. I'll say it again. I don't drink. As for the contract, if you want to sign it now. If you don't want to sign, I'm afraid my hand might slip, and you'll be negotiating business from a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Henderson looked at her, trembling, then looked at the half-signed contract on the table. He scrambled over, grabbed the pen, and frantically scribbled his signature. Signed it. Grandma Nielsen, I signed it. Jenna put away the contract, blew off some non-existent dust, tossed the broken bottle onto the table, and turned to leave. From beginning to end, she didn't even notice that there was a hero outside the door preparing to save her. I stood there like an idiot, watching her retreating figure, disheveled in the wind. This script is wrong. Isn't she supposed to be the weak female lead, waiting to be saved? What did she become so terrifying? I forgot. Jenna was a black belt in Taekwondo in college. Back then, a roundhouse kick that shattered 3 wooden boards left a deep psychological shadow on me. I had forgotten about that. Since the hero saves beauty plan failed, I decided to change tactics. Stratagem 2, the sentimentality ruse. I remember Jenna had always liked a necklace from an indie designer brand called Stardust, but because it was a limited edition, she never managed to buy it. I spent 3 days and nights practically turning the internet upside down, finally buying it from a collector for 3 times the price. I fantasized that when I presented this blue velvet box to her, she would cover her mouth in surprise and then throw herself into my arms, moved to tears. This time, I didn't dare give it directly. I was afraid she'd throw it out. I found out her best friend, Lily, was going shopping with her today. Lily was my ally. I had tipped her off and given her a big red envelope via Venmo, asking her to create an opportunity for me. At the mall, I pretended to have a chance encounter. What a coincidence. I flashed what I thought was my most gentle, genial smile. Lily winked at me frantically and exclaimed with exaggeration, "Oh my God, isn't this the great author Luke? What a coincidence. Jen, look who it is." Jenna just glanced at me faintly and spat out 2 words, haunting spirit. Braving immense psychological pressure, I handed over the small box. Jen, this is for you. Jenna didn't take it. Lily assisted from the sidelines. Wow, is that Stardust? Jen, haven't you always wanted that? Luke is so good to you. Jenna sneered and looked at me. Luke, do you think that because you made a mistake, you can fix it with money? A necklace can cancel out the stupid act of playing me like a fiddle. I didn't mean it like that. Then what do you mean? She looked at me, her eyes sharp. You're giving me this. Do you want to move me, or do you want to move yourself? Are you just touched by your own self-satisfaction of, look, I paid so much for you? Her question left me speechless. Her words were like a scalpel, precisely dissecting the selfishness and hypocrisy deep in my heart. I did, indeed, want to move myself more. Take it back. Jenna finished speaking and dragged Lily away, not even glancing at the necklace. I stood in the crowded mall holding the priceless little box, looking like a clown. Before being dragged away, Lily looked back at me with sympathy in mouth. Take care, brother. Then my phone vibrated. It was a message from Lily. Transfer received, refund for you. This job is too hard. Your wife is a rose with thorns now, version 2. 0 reinforced. I advise you to fend for yourself. My heart went cold. 2 consecutive failures made me realize profoundly that the tropes in novels do not work in reality. I could no longer use author thinking to chase my wife. I had to use normal person thinking. How should a husband who made a mistake beg for his wife's forgiveness? I thought for a long time. Apologies must be sincere. Actions must be tangible. So, I gave up on those flashy plans. I started cooking for her honestly. If she didn't eat, I put in a thermos and delivered it to her office lobby for the receptionist to pass on. I didn't know if she accepted it, but I delivered it every day. When she worked late, I waited in the coffee shop downstairs from her office, waiting until she got off work. Watching from a distance, got in her car, and only then did I go home. I secretly paid her utilities and condo fees. I calculated the timing for her ragdoll cat, biscuit, and bought cat food, litter, and canned food in advance, leaving them at the door. I stopped trying to ambush her, and I stopped saying those self-righteous stupid things. I just did these things silently. I didn't know if she knew, and I didn't expect her to forgive me immediately. I just felt that I owed her, and I wanted to pay it back bit by bit. A month passed like this. Between us, it was still like there was a galaxy separating us. I began to suspect I had truly destroyed our relationship. Just as I was about to despair, a turning point appeared. That night, I had just delivered the love dinner, as usual, and was preparing to go home. My phone rang. It was Jenna. This was the first time she had contacted me voluntarily since the divorce. My hand shook with excitement, and I almost dropped the phone. Hello, Yen? On the other end was her cool voice, but it seemed to carry an imperceptible trace of exhaustion. Luke, where are you? I just left your office building. Come back. My car broke down. With that, she hung up. I froze in place, and 3 seconds later, realized what happened and bolted back. Car broke down. What is this? This is a godsend. It's the god of scripts. No, it's God finally opening his eyes. I felt like my time in the crematorium was finally coming to an end. Turning point and new storms, I ran back to the underground garage of Jenna's company at 100-meter sprint speed. From a distance, I saw her red coupe with its hazards blinking, stopped on the exit ramp. Jenna was standing by the car, arms crossed, looking helpless. Seeing me run over panting, her brow twitched, but she didn't speak. What's wrong? Won't start, I asked between breaths. Yeah, she said concisely. I opened the hood and looked. I know absolutely nothing about cars. I stared for a while and couldn't figure anything out. I'll call a tow truck, I said. Phone's dead. She shook her black-screen phone. Me? Well, she caught all the bad luck. I took out my phone and called a tow truck and an Uber. While waiting, the atmosphere was a bit awkward. This was the first time in a month we had stood together so peacefully. I looked for something to say. Did you eat? I did, she answered. Oh, the one I sent? Yeah. I was delighted inside. She ate it. She actually ate it. Was today's sweet and sour pork a bit salty? I asked cautiously. She glanced at me. You didn't put sugar in it. It was so sour my teeth hurt. Me? Okay, cooking fail, but I was still happy. At least she was willing to complain about the food to me. This was huge progress. The tow truck and the Uber arrived almost simultaneously. I helped the driver hook up the car, then opened the Uber door. Get in, I'll take you back. Jenna hesitated, but got in. Inside the car, the driver played soothing music. I sat in the back seat next to Jenna, a fist distance between us. I could smell the faint scent of her shampoo, the brand I bought for her. My heart beat a little fast.